Showtime! Let's go! But I said, if you gave me Mahomes, if you gave me Lamar Jackson with his great legs and Mahomes' great arm, or you gave me Baker Mayfield, who would I want? I would want Baker Mayfield, and the reason why is because Baker Mayfield...
I really think that now this is the worst case scenario for the San Francisco 49ers, is that they're going to have to cut ties with Jimmy Garoppolo if I were them. What? Oh my God! Wow, man!
In any event, Kyle Gibson is definitely my NL Cy Young Award winner. Rock on, Gibby.
And even
no way!
Oh my God! Hello, everybody, and happy Aloha Friday, and welcome into a very, very special show here on both the MI6 Sports Network as well as the IM6 Network. I am here today to announce that your boy, Isaiah here, I am going to be entering the NBA. I am going to be entering the NBA and play in the playoffs starting tomorrow. I have signed a contract. JK, laugh out loud, just kidding. That's not happening. But folks, welcome in to the NBA playoff preview show here on the IM6 Network as well as the MI6 Sports Network. We're going to have a lot of stuff to get into. We're going to talk about the playing games to start, then we're going to get into the entire bracket of the NBA playoffs. The NBA playoffs starts tomorrow. If you're on the East Coast, it starts later on this morning. But the playoffs are set. The playoffs are here. The playoffs are ready to begin. And, you know, as a Laker fan, I'm ready because we get those damn Denver Nuggets again. The Celtics and the Heat, we're going to have a rematch of both the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference Finals in the first round. It's going to be an amazing playoffs. So buckle up, get your popcorn ready, get up early because tomorrow is going to be absolutely the start of a legendary postseason. So we got it all. We're going to break it all down for you guys and preview and give our predictions for each and every one of the matchups, the semifinals, the Western Conference Finals, the Eastern Conference Finals, and then the NBA Finals as well. So it's going to be a great show. Make sure you guys keep tuning in. I see you. We have 6 live viewers right now. Go ahead and smash that likes button. Go ahead and also comment. Any comments that you guys have, feel free to just light up the comment section and I'll read it up. I'll bring it up and read it on the show here tonight. Hopefully we are joined by a few more of my co-hosts here from the network. But right now it's only your boys. So just buckle up. It's going to be fun. Can't wait because the NBA playoffs are always one of the best playoffs in all the sports. But this year, with all the matchups that we got, I think it's going to be an absolutely legendary postseason. All right. Having said that, let's get into it. Let's get into the race for the Larry O'Brien Trophy. And let me, before we get into the NBA playoffs and the entire bracket, let's go start with the play-in games. All right, the Miami Heat defeated the Chicago Bulls by a final score of 112-91 to surprise the world because Jimmy Butler did not play in this game. If you haven't known by now, Jimmy Butler will not play for several weeks due to a torn MCL injury. So prayers up to Jimmy Butler. Hope for a fast and speedy recovery. But folks, you know, the Bulls dropped this game to the Heat 112-91. The Miami Heat have advanced to the NBA playoffs. The Chicago Bulls are eliminated, second straight year that they are eliminated by the Miami Heat in the final play-in game. You know, my thoughts on this game is that for the Chicago Bulls, the Bulls, you know, obviously not having Zach LaVine really hurt because DeMar DeRozan was getting just swarmed. Kobe White was getting swarmed. Everybody else outside of Kobe White and also DeMar DeRozan, they couldn't do anything. Like, you know, Onyo Musu, I mean, that's his name. He couldn't really do anything. Nikola Vucevic. I mean, guys, what has happened to Nikola Vucevic? I don't know. That guy was an all-star in Orlando. He was so good. He looked like an ascending superstar. And then he goes to Chicago, and now, like, you look at it like, what's going on? What's going on? He's not the same. He looks like a scrub. I mean, the guy looks like he's barely involved. He looks like he's not active. Like, what is going on with Nikola Vucevic? I don't understand. Like, Nikola Vucevic has really, really disappointed. I don't know what's up with him. Tonight, you know, he had a measly 16 points, 14 rebounds, and 5 assists in 35 minutes of play. I mean, dude, you're a big guy. You were an all-star just 4 or 5 years ago, and now you're putting up like those I mean, 14 rebounds, 16 points, like that's like before that would have been like wow, but now everybody's doing that. That's like measly average numbers, and he is not an average center. He is a great big man, but for some reason the Chicago Bulls just don't use him. I don't know why. I really don't know what's that about. It makes no sense whatsoever. But Nikola Vucevic, I mean, that guy, I mean, he needs to have a career renaissance because right now, and he needs to leave Chicago because right now you're just wondering to yourself, like, what the hell's going on? Like, what is going on with him? You know, if he had been like the guy that he was back in Orlando, then I think that the Bulls would have made this a very competitive game. But when you look at tonight's game, Kobe White was getting swarmed. DeMar DeRozan was getting swarmed. Everybody else could not buy a bucket to save their life. I mean, the three-point shooters were bricking every damn shot. The third quarter, you know why the Miami Heat outscored the Chicago Bulls 35-23. They closed the quarter on a 14-0 run. You know why that happened? Is because the Heat made their shots and the Bulls did it, plain and simple. Like, the Bulls were struggling all night from three-point land. They looked like a team that was stuck in the 90s where they would be, they would go for these mid-ranges and these twos and the threes. When they would shoot them, it would be like they never took a three in their life. So the thing with the Chicago Bulls, before I get into the Heat, the thing with the Chicago Bulls is the Chicago Bulls this summer need to go get three-point shooters. Like, that's what they need because they're like the New York Knicks. Before, the New York Knicks would always muck it up, look like a 90s team, shoot a bunch of mid-ranges, try to just get to the cup and get those twos. But they didn't have the three-point snipers, and now you see the difference when they do have the three-point snipers on their team. And you see the difference now with the Knicks being the 2 seed in the Eastern Conference, and they've clearly elevated their team. But if I'm the Bulls this summer, I am submitting a max offer to Klay Thompson. I'm doing it because you need that three-point shooting. Your team, like, you had a glaring lack of it in this game. It's part of a big reason why you lost this game because you just couldn't make a three to save your life. And then Miami, I got to give them credit. You know, the Miami Heat, Tyler Hero, put the team on his back. I mean, as we have my guy Stephen Wang here on this show, it's a surprise to see you, Stephen. But
yes,
Stephen,
sir. Yes, sir. Honor to join.
Yes, you're not going to like what I'm about to say. But you know how we both, and mostly you and our guys from the MI6 Sports Network, were flaming Tyler Herro for his off-season 6 a.m. Instagram workouts? Well, those 6 a.m. Instagram workouts, brother, has paid off big time. Like, look at that game that he had tonight. I mean, the dude looked like a superstar. He had 24 points, 10 rebounds, 9 assists, almost a triple-double. I mean, he was passing it great. He was shooting it great. He was getting to the rim great. If he plays like this against the Boston Celtics, I mean, they're going to have a chance, probably not to win the series, but they'll have a chance to at least push it to 6 games. And maybe, just maybe, Jimmy Butler with his dog-like mentality, he might be able to come back if it goes 6 games. But, yeah, credit to the Heat for winning this game. Herro was outstanding. Bam was great. The defense was phenomenal. Jovic had a couple of blocks. They were just swarming the Bulls all night long. But yeah, really surprised the Heat won, because I think when Butler went down, I picked the Bulls to blow out the Heat. But the Heat, I mean, they played great, and they're going to play in the Celtics now. I don't know how it's going to be without Jimmy Butler. We'll make our predictions in a bit, but yeah, congrats to the Heat for winning this game. But we have my guy Stephen Wang on this show. Stephen, like I told the viewers out there before you hopped on, first of all, welcome to the show. And I just wanted to let you know, my friend. Yeah, I just wanted to let you know, my friend, that all of our one-on-one battles have really helped, because I am officially signing a contract with the Phoenix Suns. I will be joining the Suns to play in the NBA playoffs. So get ready for your Wolves to get flamed. But yeah, how are you doing, my friend, on this Friday night?
I'm doing really good, Isaiah. Fantastic to be joining you here, man. I got to say, I got to hand it to the Heat. That was probably the most Heat culture win that we've seen since last playoffs, including this past regular season that we had. Herro, I don't really think it was the 4 a.m. workouts, Isaiah. I'm not sure if it was the motivation that he got from his team kind of doubting him as time went on, and he was forced to mature from that bubble run. I think that bubble run was a precursor to what Tyler Herro was going to be as a player, which is that he can give you that kind of like Ginobili run, that kind of Tony Parker factor to him, where it's like, is he going to be the best player on the floor on any given night? Most likely, vast majority of the time, no. But when it comes to the brightest lights and you need a guy to buy you a bucket, they call that song, I Need a Hero. You're going to need Herro. And so I got to hand it to the Heat. I think the game plan tonight was simple. It was feed Tyler Herro the ball, let him distribute to Adebayo and the shooters around him, and then stop Coby White, who by his own right is starting to kind of mature into a young version of Ja Morant and kind of being what we thought Lonzo Ball could be in this league. So, props to the Bulls. They made it further than we would have expected this season. But again, man, it's more disappointment for teams near where I live, man. First, you got the Minnesota teams, and then the Bay Area teams. They won some championships, so can't complain about that. But Chicago teams, man, like to have Minnesota and Chicago on my living resume, it's a tough pill to swallow, man. It's a lot of sports misery. And, speaking, before we get into more basketball, speaking of, my teams, I got like my Josh Dobbs jersey, man. I'm rocking the Dobbs. Came in the mail today, 60% off. I figured all the money I've been making from sports betting and beating Isaiah in these bets, man, why not treat myself a little? So you got the number 15 retro edition. This is a throwback edition. And then you look at the back there, number 15 Dobbs, baby. The Pastronaut, man. Hey, he might not be the best athlete or the best quarterback out there, man, but he inspired the rest of us sports geeks. Let's just put it that way. He inspired all the kids out there who, maybe they want to become an engineer or a CEO or a trader one day. And he sent the world a message that, hey, it doesn't have to be football or academics. It doesn't have to be football or business. Like, you can succeed in this life in multiple things. So that's why I'm rocking this Dobbs jersey.
And folks, he flames me because I made this and bought this t-shirt right here of Brock Purdy being the GOAT. And he says I wasted money on that. Come on, Steven. You're better than that, man. Come on. You could have bought this and you would have been flamed less than what you were for that Josh Dobbs one moment jersey. Come on, man. But yeah, like we said, the Heat, they beat the Bulls. A very impressive win for the Miami Heat tonight over the Chicago Bulls. Tyler Hero's coming out party. So congratulations to the Heat. They have advanced to the NBA playoffs. But let's get into the next game for tonight. And this was a game that, Steven, I was very shocked about because I thought it was going to be like a very close, down the wire type of a showdown between the Kings and the Pelicans, two teams that, just they don't really play defense. They're really good offensive teams. They like to run. The Kings get throttled in New Orleans by the Pelicans. The Pelicans led this game by as much as 20 points before the Kings rallied to cut it down to 7. But the Pelicans, without Zion Williamson, advanced to play the Thunder in the first round of the playoffs. They win this last play-in game, 105-98. De'Aaron Fox, he scored 35 points. Domantas Sabonis had 23 points. For the Pelicans, Brandon Ingram in place of Zion was fantastic. He had 24 points in 37 minutes. Jonas Valanciunas, who was very quiet in the last game against the Lakers, he put up 19 points, and Trey Murphy had 16. But it was the defense for the Pelicans winning this game. Steven, what is your overall thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I thought, first of all, overall thoughts on the night, what a moment for the NBA play-in. I know that we didn't have the best scores, and it wasn't quite the same drama as Game 82 for both basketball and hockey, which has just been phenomenal this season. But I thought that the most incredible thing, Isaiah, is that you had two underdogs without their two primary stars. And what did they prove tonight, those teams? They proved that it's all about team basketball in the NBA. And they proved that in this league, the reason why it's so tough to continuously win, it's so tough to get to the playoffs consistently, let alone repeat, is because every person in this league can play. Every man can play. And boy, did the Pelicans, the Kings, and the Heat demonstrate that tonight, which is that you just can never count out the heart of a playoff team. And that's what that's what the Pelicans and the Heat really taught us today. Lots of players stepped up. I thought the key for the Pelicans tonight was that CJ McCollum, he did his job. He largely did his job. He distributed the basketball. He played well off the ball. He made open threes when he needed to. And he involved Brandon Ingram and vice versa. The big star of the show, of course, Brandon Ingram, carried more than his weight. Really looked like a little bit of KD out there, with a little bit more distributing. Just seemed like that length is just so hard to guard, Isaiah. And unfortunately, the Lakers, they never got the time to be able to experiment and realize that untapped potential. But I'm just so glad he's found his home in the NBA in these past couple of seasons. He's really flourished into a superstar, or a borderline superstar, a star and a borderline superstar. I'm glad McCollum has continued to find his way in the NBA. And, maybe someday him and Lillard can reunite to recount past experiences and play together again. This Pelicans team is just very exciting to watch, man. But then on the other side, I thought the other thing they really did was they let Sabonis kind of have his Edie moments, to make the college NBA reference. Like, they let Sabonis get his, and they let De'Aaron Fox get his. But they said that, these two star players are going to get theirs, but who else is going to step up? Because for us, the whole team tonight is going to shoot the ball well. We're going to protect the ball, and we're going to continue putting offense on you in key moments. And we're going to take operate in our half-court offense. We're going to take the clock down, and we're going to force consistent pressure on you as a basketball team. And so I thought those were really the keys of the game tonight. And what a moment it was for the city of New Orleans. What a moment it was for Brandon Ingram, for McCollum, two players who are consistently underrated, but yet, again, coming up deep into the season. So, again, man, you just couldn't have wrote a better script. They defended home court. They won for Zion. And now you just wonder how much more of this can they continue on? How much do they have left in the tank to distribute and deliver an exciting series against OKC?
Steven, you definitely hit the nail on the head, and that's something I really got to agree with you about, is the fact that tonight, I mean, I was shocked because I thought that, when you look at tonight, that when we had a call the other day, we had a call off the air the other day, and we were like, okay, the playing games are going to be a guaranteed Bulls win and also a guaranteed Kings win, because without Zion and without Jimmy Butler, the Heat and the Pelicans have no chance. But I mean, the Bulls let us down. They didn't show up to play. They couldn't make a three to save their life. And then the Kings, it was kind of the same thing, where the Kings in the fourth quarter went 1 for 13 from three. And this is what I don't understand from some of these teams, is like when you are ice cold from three, why continue to shoot? Like, why just hoist it up and hoist it up and hoist it up? Get to the rim or shoot a mid range or something. Like, don't if the threes aren't falling, just don't keep shooting it. Like, it's not gonna. That's why New Orleans went up by 20, because the Kings kept missing their threes. The Pelicans would get the rebound, they would push it up the court, and then the Pelicans would either hit a three or drive to the basket, and they would get an easy layup because the Kings were just like startled that their three didn't go in, and they didn't really come back on D. So, credit to New Orleans. Brandon Ingram showed up. Brandon Ingram bounced back after a game in which he threw kind of a hissy fit late in that game. I don't know why against the Lakers that Willie Green decided to bench him for the entire fourth quarter. It made no sense, because I think if Brandon Ingram, Steven, you probably would agree with me, if Brandon Ingram plays in the fourth quarter, if he even plays like 3 to 5 minutes of the fourth quarter when Zion went down, I think the Pelicans would have beaten the Lakers, because the Lakers were just out of gas. They were just like, the defense was so bad in that late in that game. And they just didn't have that consistent score that you could depend on after Zion went down. So kudos to the Pelicans. Very disappointed in the Kings. Like, the Kings just did not have any defense late in this game. Valanciunas was like just doing his thing on the inside. It was so fun to watch. He was having so many easy baskets on the inside, and then when they double teamed him, he would kick it out to the shooters. McCollum was so good. He bounced back after a stinky showing against the Lakers. But yeah, I mean, I can't wait now with the Pelicans going to the next round. I really wanted the Kings to go to play the Thunder, because that would have been a fun game with two teams that love to run and have a lot of offense. But, Pelicans and Thunder, we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's going to be a great showdown. Hopefully it lives up to the hype. But credit to the Pelicans. The Kings, they need to sign some defenders. I think Alex Caruso is someone you got to focus on this summer, because you can't have bad perimeter defense, and you can't expect to outshoot and outscore teams in the NBA. If you do that, like, you can outscore some of the scrub teams in the NBA. But if you're playing against like teams like, Denver, you're playing the Boston Celtics or the Heat or the Lakers, like, they're going to find a way to swarm you. And then when you're not making your baskets and you suck on defense, well, then that's the case right there. So congrats to the Pelicans on winning this game. But we're joined by another co-host here tonight here on our NBA playoff preview special. My guy John Alcorn has joined the program. Surprise. John, how are you doing tonight?
Welcome, John.
What's up? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
We got you. John, do we have you? Steven, do you hear him, or am I the only one that can't hear him?
No, it's a stupid internet where I'm at. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, we got you. We got you.
Well,
we got
speaking
you.
about the Kings, before you asked me the question, who the fart would want to go to the Kings? Like, you're not gonna get a top player in free agency, so there's not really a lot of options for them. There's not it's not an interest, but I digress. You go on.
Sorry about that. I was on mute. But John, me and Steven gave our thoughts on the Heat and the Bulls game. The Heat, led by Tyler Hero, beat the Bulls, who just flat out didn't show up in this game. And the Pelicans beat the Kings, two teams without their superstars, shock the world and win. What was your overall thoughts on these two games?
This is Chicago. Like, what do we expect? This is the same stupid team that signed Lonzo Ball a couple years ago, knowing he's more injury prone than Taylor Swift's last relationship. I mean, that to me is not a shock whatsoever. I don't know who really trusted Chicago here. This is the Chicago Bulls. And this is not the 80s or the early 90s. But I really got to give credit where credit's due. The Pelicans, they got it done. And obviously, if you're going to have success, it all depends on the health of Zion. If it's going to be which version of Zion we're going to get, because you talk about in the last couple of years, it's been injuries. But he beat the Kings. I'm not too surprised. And when he's healthy, he's a phenomenal player. But for Chicago's side of this, or for the other game, like, where do you go from here? You tried signing Lonzo, you tried getting other players, and you can't get it done. And speaking about you're shooting from the three like that, I don't understand why it's like that, Isaiah. Like, going back to the Celtics in 2018 when they lost against LeBron right before the finals, is always shooting from the three. I'm like, are they getting shooting 3-point pointers from Russell Westbrook? I frankly have no idea. But congrats to the Pelicans. The Bulls, it's just the Chicago Bulls. I have as much expectations as them as I do of Dak Prescott throwing game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl.
All right, let's. It was a great play-in tournament. A lot of great fun games, but let's get into the real fun, and that is the NBA playoffs. The playoffs start tomorrow. We've got all these great matchups. Just look at it here today. It's all for the race for the Larry O'Brien trophy, that shiny trophy right there. But yeah, the NBA playoffs start tomorrow. It's going to be so much fun. The West, we've got the Thunder versus the Pelicans. We got the Clippers, Mavs, Wolves, Suns, Nuggets, Lakers. East, we have the Celtics and the Heat, the Cavs and the Magic, the Bucks and the Pacers, and then the New York Knicks play the Philadelphia 76ers. Steven, you ready to get into this, my friend?
Yeah, this is going to be really exciting slate of games coming up. I think right now my gut reaction is Denver is going to take it over Boston. We look at this bracket right now, the most complete teams on here, I feel like, are the Denver Nuggets, the Boston Celtics being the most complete. And then among that, you probably also could add in the Milwaukee Bucks in there, and then perhaps the Minnesota Timberwolves. But I think that for a couple of those other teams, like the Bucks and the Timberwolves, they haven't shown to be consistently good in clutch situations this year. And in the case of the Timberwolves, they're still a very, very young team. So with not as much playoff experience. So looking at this slate of games, I think that we're looking at a matchup, a really, really good matchup between Denver and Boston. And I'm going to go with Denver taking it, even though I think Boston's the more talented team.
All right, before we get into the predictions for the bracket, Steven, if you had to pick one matchup in the first round that you think will be the best matchup in the first round, who would it be? For me, I'm not gonna be I don't want to be biased and say the Lakers won, although I think the Lakers won. My stance on it. I don't think it's your average first round matchup. I think it's the battle for the soul of basketball. But with the Lakers aside, I really think that the best first round matchup, like, because we have a lot of these great matchups. And if Jimmy Butler was playing for the Heat, that would have been one of the best matchups, in the first round between the Celtics and the Heat. But he's not there. So I say, for me, I think the matchup I'm really looking forward to, and I'm not going to pick it yet, but the matchup I'm looking forward to the most is the Cavs and the Magic, because you have two teams that are really young, that play fast. They're really good at offense. They're okay on defense, but you have two teams that really young teams that, like, this matchup, I really think will go either way. Like, I could see the Magic winning. I could see the Cavs winning. Like, I could see it being a 50-50 toss-up between these two teams. So that's why I'm going to say it's Cavs Magic for me will be the easiest matchup. But Steven, I'll go to you first. What is the matchup you're looking forward to the most in this first round playoff series?
I got to go with my hometown Timberwolves against the Suns, man. Like, you got Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal on one end. You got the older, more seasoned star power, although Booker is still young. And then on the other end, you got Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards, Rudy Gobert, some unsung heroes in there too, like Mike Conley and Jaden McDaniels too. It's just two very deep rosters going at it. They've had the talent to compete, just haven't been able to put it together recently. You just, like, talent for talent, this has got to be the most even matchup. And the thing is, unfortunately, spoiler alert, I think I got to go with the Suns winning this one.
All right, how about you, John? Don't make your predictions, but what matchup in this? Oh, as John looks like he's dealing with technical difficulties. But Steven, let's get into it, man. Let's start with the West first. We've got the number 1 seeded Thunder versus the number 8 seeded Pelicans. You got Josh Giddey, SGA, Chet Holmgren versus the New Orleans Pelicans and Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum. Steven, for me, I'm going to go OKC, but I think this is going to be a fun matchup. I'm going to go OKC winning this series I'm going to go OKC in 6. I think that New Orleans finds a way to take a couple of games because Brandon Ingram, when he's on, he's on. McCollum, when he's on, he's on. But I just think not having Zion is going to hurt. And what is the Thunder what are they going to do with what's the Thunder going to – I mean, not the Thunder. The Pelicans going to do against Chet and against some of these athletic young guys for the OKC Thunder. But I think it's going to be a fun matchup. I think it's going to be back and forth. But give me the Thunder in 6 over the Pelicans. Steven, who do you have?
Yeah, this is going to be a really good one. We talked about this one yesterday, Isaiah, but we expected the Kings to be in this situation rather than the Pelicans facing the Thunder. So initially my pick was going to be I had the Sacramento Kings over I had the OKC Thunder over the Kings in 7. And I thought this would be a really tough matchup, really, really good matchup going into it. Now I got to say, man, with OKC out of the equation, while I think New Orleans, they're an up-and-coming team, I think, unfortunately, without Zion fully healthy, and even with him fully healthy, this is not the best matchup for them. You just question, are they going to be able to keep up with this Thunder team in terms of energy, in terms of hustle, in terms of depth? So I got to go with the Thunder in 5, unfortunately.
Wow, so you got Thunder in 5. I got Thunder in 6. John, if we have you, Pelicans at Thunder, first round, who do you got?
Oh, they are. I mean, both not great in their season. The APC doesn't deserve to be the. Honestly, this is. I know I said Zion is healthy, but if they're healthy, take North.
It sounds like before he had the technical difficulties that he was taking New Orleans. So John, it looks like he has New Orleans. But Steven, let's go into our second matchup. My matchup, Steven, the matchup that I've termed the battle for the soul of basketball between the Lakers and the Denver Nuggets. You know, I'm still very upset that the Lakers lost that Western Conference Finals and the Nuggets hit those lucky-ass shots. But, Steven, you might want to put your camera on that. I mean, you probably know where I'm going with this, but I'm going with the Lakers to get revenge and upset the Denver Nuggets. I don't fear Denver. I have wanted Denver all year long. It goes down tomorrow night. The thing with Denver is, listen, all those 4 games against the Lakers, remember, they got swept, but all those 4 games, it literally came down to the final, 3 to 4 possessions. If LA executed better in those 3 to 4 possessions, I think we're looking at a 2-2 series heading back to Denver for Game 5. But instead, the Lakers choked. They couldn't make their shots. LeBron had a foot injury. That's why he couldn't have any lift. Anthony Davis, I don't know, he did not show up, but it's going to come down to, is Anthony Davis going to show up? Anthony Davis has got to have a monster series. He got embarrassed last year by Jokic. He's got to come back with a vengeance and have a monster series for the Lakers to win this. And, Steven, I am going to go with Lakers. I'm going to go with Lakers in 7. I think that it's going to be a great series. It's going to be a really good heavyweight fight. But I just think that you have a motivated LeBron. Anthony Davis will be motivated. Lakers have better three-point shooting now with Reeves and Russell and Cam Reddish, Taurean Prince. They've got some better supporting cast members now than last year. Last year they couldn't shoot, but now they've got snipers. So that's why I'm interested to see how this goes. But I think Jokic and the Nuggets, I think AD and Jokic, they'll match wits. But I think a motivated LeBron, after hearing all that talk, will be the difference maker in this game or in the series. And I think that LeBron, I could see one of these games where LeBron is just I'm taking over this, and he goes off for 40 to 50 points in 2 of these games. So give me the Lakers, Steven, in 7 games to beat the Denver Nuggets back in Mile High and get the revenge.
Yeah, I'm going to go with – I think that it's going to be a tougher matchup this time, Isaiah. But unfortunately, I still got to go with the Nuggets. I think Colin Cowherd put it best. The Lakers, they have the star power with LeBron and AD. They've improved in terms of shooting, but right now they're just a bit too old to keep up with the fortitude that the Nuggets have. And the Nuggets, they're a bit younger, they're a bit bouncier. I think they get it done in this situation. So I'll take the Nuggets in 6.
All right, and then John just messaged me. He says he's got Pelicans in 7 if Zion comes back, and he's got Nuggets in 5. So I guess, we were split with the Pelicans, Thunder, and then Lakers, Nuggets. You guys both are going Denver. I'm going LA. But let's get into your matchup, Steven. The 3-seeded Minnesota Timberwolves hosting the 6-seeded Suns led by Devin Booker and the Phoenix Suns Big 3. I'll let you go first on this. You said the Suns Big 3 wouldn't work. So we'll see what happens, but will the Big 3 of the Suns lead them to a series victory over your Minnesota Timberwolves in Minnesota?
Well, as I said in my kind of little spoiler alert, I think so. I think the Suns are right now the more talented, more experienced team in the playoffs. And yeah, they'll get out of the first round. Right? They'll get out of the first round. But the question is what can they do going forward? Getting out of the first round is not the goal for this team when it got assembled. I think they take this one in 6. I think their experience matches out well with the Timberwolves. There's a reason they beat the Timberwolves a lot. They're the better and more talented team, even if the seeding doesn't indicate it. So I do think they get it done here, Isaiah. I just, for me, beating the Timberwolves, while it's technically an upset in terms of you beat the higher seed, it doesn't really move the needle for me for what the ultimate goal of the Suns is, other than you get to the next round. But if that's where it ends, they win this, and they lose in the second round to Denver, as I'm going to predict, then I don't think that this Suns team has really achieved its ultimate goal, which is to at least win the West, if not win the whole thing.
Steven, I'm going to say for my prediction, I'm going to go with quote unquote my team, and that is the Phoenix Suns. I think the Phoenix Suns. The thing with the Wolves is I've thought this all year. I thought your Wolves are a good team, but you guys are just like frauds in my opinion, and you guys are just kind of like too young. While the Suns, Booker, Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, a lot of playoff experience there, and I think that Kevin Durant will finally emerge as the guy that the Phoenix Suns thought they traded for, and be that closer and be that difference maker in the series. Because I just look at Anthony Edwards is great, but Rudy Gobert is going to get exposed. He always gets exposed in the playoffs. Karl-Anthony Towns, he always gets hurt, but when he's healthy, he's on. But do the Wolves have a guy like Kevin Durant that can counter a Kevin Durant if Kevin Durant is going off? And I just don't think so. And there's a reason why the Suns have owned the Wolves this season and also last year as well, because they just match up better. And, they have the more star power and the better shooters than the Wolves. So for me, I'm going to go with Phoenix in 6. I think it's going to be a very, very good series. But I think that Phoenix, the more star power, the veteran-led team, they'll take it in 6.
All right, that's fair.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Did you give a prediction for how many games Phoenix wins?
6 games.
All right, so it looks like we both have Phoenix in 6. To close out the West, we've got a matchup that's very tough, and this is a matchup that I've been kind of going back and forth on, and that is the Clippers and the Mavs. Can Luka finally get over the hump and beat his nemesis, or will the Clippers continue to own Luka and the Dallas Mavericks? Steven, I'm gonna go. This is really tough. I know I said Dallas yesterday, but it really hinges on if Kawhi plays. If Kawhi, let's say he sits out game 1. He's back the rest of the series, but he's not effective, and that's a problem. But if he plays the entire series and he looks like just an 80 to 90% Kawhi, then I think the Clippers win. But, I can't trust Kawhi's health, so I'll have to say Dallas in 7. I think that it's going to be back and forth, but I think with the Clippers' star power of Harden, Westbrook, Kawhi, Paul George as well, they're going to be able to hang with Dallas on the offensive side. But I don't know if the Clippers, it's the health, I think will be the limiting factor for them. And I just think there's no one that can counter Luka, especially if Kawhi's hurt, and guard him. So I think Luka's going to go off. So give me Dallas in 7, but I think it comes down to a game 7 winner take all, very close game at Crypto.com Arena.
Yeah, I agree with you for all the reasons you mentioned. I got to go with, I think it's going to be, I agree with the fact that it's going to be competitive, and I agree with some of the things you said, but I think overall that Luka Doncic has been doing so well against this Clippers team, and Kyrie and him have really progressed to a different level this year. Are they going to be, true championship contenders? That remains to be seen. But we're seeing a different energy from this team. We're seeing them really kind of succeed within the system. So I think that I got to take the Suns here, or not the Suns here. Sorry, my bad. I got to take the Mavericks here to take it in 7 games and get revenge.
All right, so you got Mavericks in 7. So our Western Conference predictions, Steven has the Thunder, the Nuggets, the Suns, and the Mavs. I've got OKC, the Lakers, the Suns, and the Mavs. So we pretty much agree on most of them except the Lakers-Nuggets one, but that one could honestly go either way. But let's go to the East, which I think we have some really good matchups. Let's start off with the Celtics and the Heat, the rematch of the Eastern Conference Finals from last year. Steven, watching Tyler Hero ball out and the Heat play the way they did, I know Jimmy Butler's not going to be playing most likely in this series, But knowing how Boston always chokes and knowing how the Heat match up so well with the Celtics, regardless of the players that are on the court, and knowing that Eric Spoelstra is such a way better coach than Joe Mazzulla and will be able to coach laps around him, I'm going to go with the Celtics. But here's a surprise. I'm going with Boston in 7. I think that I think Jimmy Butler comes back because he's a dog and he guts through a lot of stuff. I mean, he played the final 3 quarters with that MCL injury. I think he comes back for games 6 and 7 later on in the series, and he will come back and help the Heat at least take it to a game 7, which would be very impressive given how when Butler went down, everybody was like, yeah, the Heat are done. But I think this is Tyler Hero's time to shine. And I think that he's going to have a breakout series and a breakout playoffs. I think Duncan Robinson will shine as well. The thing with Boston is their perimeter shooting the perimeter defense is not that good. So if Terry Rozier comes back, that adds another weapon. I don't know how Porzingis is going to be. I don't know. He's not really that good of a defender. So I think Bam Adebayo will go off. But I think this is going to be the Tyler Hero breakthrough series. But Boston with their star power, I think in the end, in game 7, again, especially against a hindered Butler, will be too much. But I'm going to go Boston in 7. But this is going to be a closer series than a lot of people expect because Eric Spoelstra, for some reason, he always, regardless of who's on the court, he always takes the Celtics to 6 or 7 games. Oh, Steven,
I think Boston is on a mission this year. I think that, other than the fact that they may lose to Denver, very much so they feel like the team of destiny. If we're talking about narrative, right? If we're talking about the kind of path that they need to take to win. So for me, I'm gonna have to go with Boston here in 5 games. I think they're mad with what happened last year. And even though Jimmy Butler wasn't a huge part necessarily of beating the Celtics in 7 and almost blowing that 3-0 lead to them last year, I think missing him is just going to be enough of that edge to where a lot of the close games, unfortunately, are going to go Boston's way for the win.
So you think Boston's going to win? Do you think a lot of these games, though, will be close? Close games, like going down?
I think there will probably be 2 or 3 close games in there. So, yeah, I think there's going to be a decent number of close games in there.
All right, so we both got Boston, but he's got Boston in 5. I have Boston in 7. Let's go to the 2 versus 7. We got the Sixers and Joel Embiid versus Jalen Brunson, Dante DiVincenzo, and the New York Knicks. Starts game 1 in Madison Square Garden. Steven, I'll let you pick first on this. You got the Knicks or do you got the Sixers?
I'm going to go with the team that's just played so hot this year that they earned the 2 seed. I think Jalen Brunson, he's the real deal. Shout out to him. So I think he's been playing like on an Allen Iverson level. So give me the Knicks in 7.
Knicks in 7 for Steven. This series is like we've been saying, like all these series, like we're gonna pick one side, but you could also make a case for like the other side, and I think like you're gonna see like a really close, really good playoff where most of the games are gonna be 6 or 7 games, but I think that for this series, I'm going to go with the Knicks just because MSG in Game 7 is going to be loud. It's going to be raucous. It's going to be shaking. And, the thing with the Knicks is you look at the Knicks now. They were like the Bulls, but they would always muck it up. They were, a 90s team shooting a lot of mid-ranges, trying to get to the cup. But now they added 3-point shooters with DiVincenzo. You have other guys that have stepped up. And like I said, and Steven, you probably will vehemently disagree with me, but Dante DiVincenzo, ever since he's played in the starting lineup, it looks like Jeremy Lin 2.0 out there. I mean, he's been really, really great for the New York Knicks next to his Villanova buddy, Jalen Brunson. So I think DiVincenzo will break out in the playoffs. I think that he's going to be he's going to have a great series for the Knicks. because Philly's perimeter defense is not that good. So that means Brunson and DiVincenzo will go off. But can the Knicks stop Embiid is the bigger question. But I think, for the Knicks, it comes down to Brunson, DiVincenzo, and also a guy that I don't think a lot of people know of is Isaiah Hartenstein. This guy's really
Yes, that guy is going to get paid, man.
Yes, he's going to get paid. He's a really good inside defender, and he's going to have to take care of Embiid. But I just think that Game 7, MSG, Brunson, and DiVincenzo, it's going to be way too much for the Sixers. So I'm going to go Knicks in 7, but it's going to be a really, really close, fun series.
Absolutely.
All right, let's go with the Pacers and the Bucks. Steven, I'm going to go with the Pacers in an upset just because of these two stats. The Milwaukee Bucks have the worst defense in the NBA. I don't know why they decided to tank for the Pacers instead of playing the Sixers, which is a better matchup. The Bucks ranked one of the worst defenses in the NBA. I think they're like bottom 5. The Pacers have the best offense in the NBA. The Milwaukee Bucks, in terms of pace of play, they ranked, I believe, like 4th last in the NBA. They play at a really slow pace, while the Pacers like to run up and down the court. So having said that, I just think Indiana's offense is way too much. The pace is going to be way too much for a veteran Bucks team. And also Giannis Antetokounmpo, he's not going to be playing game 1. He might not play game 2, which is going to really hurt the Bucks. And I think that, with his injury, that calf is connected to the Achilles. So if it's already strained, it's weak. Imagine you have to force Giannis to run around at high turbo speed in the playoff. And I just think that won't bode well for the Milwaukee Bucks. So give me the Pacers in 6 over Milwaukee. How about you, Steven?
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with this prediction. I think what we saw last year when Giannis is limited in a playoff series like he was against the Heat last year, it's really, really tough for that team to kind of go at the pace that they go at normally. And I think that what's really the sad part about all this is that it feels as though 2021 is starting to become more of the exception to what the Bucks are as a team and Giannis is as a player than the norm, which is that they struggle in big moments. Giannis is not the type of catch and shoot guy, shoot off the dribble guy that can sink that mid-ranger and dish out that clutch assist and make defenses guess what he's going to do next in clutch situations. Unfortunately, Giannis is more of like a really athletic Shaq, like a really in shape athletic Shaq kind of guy who's just going to bulldoze you. And that's how he's going to get his points. And the unfortunate part of that is, yes, you can, build a dynasty with that. You can build a championship team with that, provided full health and provided that the other team doesn't defensively exploit you to a harming degree. So I'm going to go Pacers in 6 here. The 6th seed wins in 6. And Isaiah, you just got to wonder here. The Bucks and the Knicks worked very hard to get to where they are right now and to have the upper hand and home court advantage, at least for the first round, right? But it's almost as if both of them drove the most unfavorable possible first round matchup that they could have drawn. I feel like the Knicks would have had a better draw against the Magic, against the Sixers, or against the Magic, against the Pacers, maybe even against the Bucks or the Cavs. Like, I feel like the Sixers is the toughest matchup for the Knicks, who, struggle with size outside of Isaiah Hartenstein, who's been excellent, but he's no Embiid, right? He's no Embiid or Karl Anthony Towns. He's no Jokic. And then the Bucks, who struggle in terms of getting out of that half-court kind of offense, in terms of playing fast, where, when the wheels start to fall off, it just feels like it really falls off against fast-paced teams, right? Like the Warriors and the Hawks. They draw the Pacers. And it just feels like the Knicks and the Bucks, if they really wanted to take full advantage with how hard they've worked in the season, they would have wanted to have swapped opponents almost. But this is why the playoffs is so great. This is why it's so unpredictable, because you cannot simply just go with the highest seeds from round to round. There are going to be upsets, and they're going to happen in the first round.
Yeah, no, you definitely are right. I think that this playoffs is going to be like one of the best playoffs. Like if you're looking for upset and unpredictability, this is a playoff for you because you look at all these series, like most of them have a potential for upset, like Wolves, Suns, Lakers, Nuggets, Clippers, Mavs, even maybe OKC Pelicans, just because OKC has never made the playoffs. New Orleans has had, and then Cavs, Magic, Knicks, Sixers, like those Pacers, Bucks, they could go either way. So that's why like this playoff, like you talk about March Madness, like I don't know about you, Steven, but I felt like March Madness didn't really have that like excitement this year that previous March Madnesses have had. But like maybe the NBA playoffs might help us with that front because I really think we could see like potentially a lot of lower seeds winning because it just seems like a lot of these lower seeds are better or match up really well with the top seeds that they're playing.
That's correct. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of drama up ahead, and I agree with you that a lot of these lower seeds, by just getting into the race, they manage to find the better matchups for them. Whereas the higher seeds, it seems like what they say, man. Once you're in, it's a whole different ballgame. Another season begins, and so it begins. And may the odds be ever in your favor.
Definitely. And let's go to the last East matchup to wrap up the first round. That's the Cavs and the Magic. And Steven, I'll confess, I have struggled with this all week, all day, because this matchup, like you could literally take a coin with the Cavs and the Magic logos on either side, flip it, and
just flip it 50 times, 51 times, and then that's how you decide it.
Exactly. Maybe we would have to do that. But this matchup honestly could go either way because both of these two teams are young. They both play fast. And also, like, they're not really that good on defense. So you have a lot of these young up-and-coming players that might be the future of the league, like Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell are going to be there, Isaac Okoro for the Cavs. And then for the Magic, first time making the playoffs in 4 years. Congrats to them and Trevor. Franz Wagner, Paolo Banchero, Mo Wagner, Cole Anthony, Gary Harris. Like you have a lot of these young guys that I'm just so excited about. So, Steven, I know yesterday I picked the Magic to win it. But you know what? I'm sticking with that prediction. Give me the Orlando Magic to win this series in 7. But I think it's going to be a lot of close games, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But the thing with Cleveland is Cleveland, for some reason, always chokes. Without LeBron, they always choke in the playoffs. And I just think this Magic team, their defense is better than the Cavs. And we've seen time and time again in the playoffs. The team that, even though your defense might not be great, if you have like a decent defense, a better defense than the other team, it comes down to just a few stops in the playoffs. So give me the Magic to win this game. I think Franz Wagner is gonna break out. Paolo Banchero, who's gonna guard his size, is the biggest question for Cleveland. Donovan Mitchell has tended to shrink in the playoffs, so I don't know if he will actually lift up in the playoffs. But I think Orlando wins this, Steven, and I think that they send Cleveland on a very, very uncertain offseason because there's been reports that if Cleveland loses in the first round, their head coach is gone and Donovan Mitchell could be traded because he's tired of losing in the first round.
Yeah, it does feel like, wow, Cleveland's got a lot to contest with, and you just wonder, like, just how good can they be in the postseason, especially with the drama lurking beneath. But I would say that this Cleveland team has started to get older. They've started to experience more. Jared Allen is coming into his own. Darius Garland is being more of a distributor. And I think Donovan Mitchell, even though his playoff track record is questionable, he's just got a whole lot more playoff experience than a lot of the guys on the Magic and the Cavs roster. He's easily the best scorer in this series. He's easily the best player, in my opinion, even though there are great players in this series. So I think even though, the Magic, they have a little bit more synergy as a team, and maybe a little bit less of that upcoming offseason drama, I think this Cavs team is good enough to get to the second round. And I think, what drama it would be, Isaiah, if somehow, this Cavs team, they could make it far, right, against the Celtics. And then now Donovan Mitchell really has a decision. Like, you came far to beating the eventual Eastern Conference or eventual champions. Are you really going to abandon the ship on this situation? That's the kind of narrative I would really love to see.
Yeah, it should be interesting. By the way, appreciate our viewers for tuning in. I just looked at, I just got a notification that we just finished the first round and we are at 272 views already. So it's
Welcome in, guys.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna keep going up. Appreciate our viewers for tuning in. So, Steven, you have the Cavs winning, and how much?
I'm going to take the Cavs in 7 games here. I think their struggles to close out games is going to prolong this series, even though they may have the upper hand early.
All right, so let's go to the second round. So, in the West, the second round match of the semifinals, Steven has the Oklahoma City Thunder against the Dallas Mavericks, and he's got the Nuggets versus the Suns, and I have the Thunder versus the Mavericks and the Lakers versus the Suns. Steven, let's start with your first, both of ours first Western Conference semifinals matchup. We got the Thunder against the Mavs. Are you taking Chet, SGA, Josh Giddey, and the Thunder, or are you taking Luka and the more seasoned Dallas Mavericks?
This is going to be a tough one, for sure. So you got Luka, you got Chet. Give me the Thunder, though. And here's why. I think that this OKC Thunder team, they have a chemistry that's pretty unmatched in the league. And right now, they're just clicking on all cylinders. I think that they have a plug-in for everything, right? Bench, you got Luke Gordon. You got all these guys on the bench that are really good. Starters, point guard, distributor, you have guys like SGA, Josh Giddey that can both kind of play that role. Big man, you got Chet Holmgren. Maybe he needs to be a bit more physical. But then again, Dallas doesn't have any big bruiser like Sabonis or a prime DeAndre Jordan. They don't have that kind of guy, right? And then you look to shooters, OKC's got them too. It just seems like OKC has more of a well-rounded solution to everything that you would need in a championship winner and contender. I'm not picking them to win this whole thing, but I am picking them to advance past the second round and give me the Thunder over the Mavericks in 6.
Wow, you picked the Thunder. Wow, that's okay. For me, because I thought you were gonna pick Dallas. This is tough as well because, like you mentioned, I mean, OKC's a young team. They've got like star power. They've got the shooting. They've got a more well-rounded team. They've got the defensive stalwarts with Lou Dort as well. But Dallas, like, is a more seasoned team. Luka, I mean, is he better than SGA? Yes. Kyrie. This is tough. You know what? I'm gonna go with Dallas. I'm gonna go Dallas in 7. I just think the experience ultimately hands the Mavericks the series. And a lot of the times with these young teams, like the pressure just tends to get to them. And I think with the Thunder, Game 7, I know it's at home, but Game 7s are always tough. And I sadly think that Chet Holmgren, SGA, and the rest of those young Thunder, the baby Thunder as we call them, sadly, I just think that they're going to melt in Game 7, and Dallas and Kyrie will hit some clutch shots late to give the Mavericks the series win and advance to the conference finals. So I got Dallas. Steven has the Thunder winning. How about Nuggets and Suns for you? Are you going with Devin Booker and the Suns, or are you going with Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets?
And here we are again, Dan. A second round rematch of last year's second round. The Suns a little bit more stacked now. The Nuggets a little bit more content. And yet, I think when it comes to this, right, Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic, They don't play this game for the ego, for the star power, for the accolades. They're just a really, really good basketball team. They're homegrown, no egos, play the game the way it's supposed to be played. And at the same time, the Suns are so stacked. But you know what? You got to give me the defending champs here. In a close matchup, right? If it's close, give me the defending champs. Give me the Nuggets in 6 games once again. It's going to be close, but I think the Nuggets pull it away again.
Okay, so you got Denver. You got Denver and OKC in the Western Conference Finals. For me, it's Lakers and Suns. I'm going to go with the Lakers. The Lakers, it's going to be a classic. Kevin Durant versus LeBron James. This might be like the final time that these two meet in a relevant playoff matchup. But Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant going up against LeBron and AD. The problem with the Suns is they don't have size. Nurkic ain't going to be able to stop AD. LeBron, who's going to be able to play against, who's going to guard against LeBron? Kevin Durant. If this was Kevin Durant in Golden State, sure. He could stop him, but not Kevin Durant coming after that torn Achilles. So having said that, I'm going to go with the Lakers. Devin Booker is going to be hard for the Lakers to stop. Bradley Beal as well. I can't count on Bradley Beal to play in the series, though, because he's always hurt. But I just think the problem with the Suns is their offense sometimes gets a little clunky because they don't have a point guard. It's Booker or Beal making the plays or Durant. But I'm going to go with the Lakers. I think the Lakers win in 6 over Phoenix just because, like, LeBron, AD's going to dominate. And then if you double AD, he's going to kick it out to the shooters and Austin Reeves and D'Angelo Russell, who I think will have a bounce-back postseason. So I'm going to go with the Lakers over the Suns in 6 games. So you got OKC Denver, Steven, and then I got Dallas versus the Lakers, a rematch of the 2011 infamous playoff series. But let's go to the East. In the East, you have Boston versus Cleveland, and I got Boston versus Orlando in the first matchup of the semifinals. For me, oh my God, this is tough. But I'm going to go with Boston over Orlando in 6. I think the Magic with their young guns will be able to push it because, sometimes the Celtics slack off and then they end up choking a couple of games. I think Tatum sadly has a couple of moments where he chokes, but Boston's just a better team than Orlando, Mo Wagner against Porzingis is a mismatch. So I think Porzingis is going to have a great series, but actually, give me Boston in 5. I don't trust Orlando to be able to win 2 against Boston. 1, yes, on their own home court, game 3, sure. But I think Boston, they're just too much firepower there. Give me the Celtics in 5 over the Magic. How about you, Steven, with Boston and Cleveland?
I'm going to agree for the same reasons. There's a reason why the Celtics are the championship favorites, the Eastern Conference favorites as well, with that being said. And there's a reason why they ran away with a 1 seed this season. You can criticize all you want about them blowing games in big moments. But yet when it comes down to it, the more talented team is going to win probably 80-90% of the time in the playoffs. And so in this series, I'm going to go again with a more talented team, the Boston Celtics. And I think they get it done in 5 games. I think there's going to be, 3 close games in there. And you'll find that there are teams out there that struggle in close games more than the Celtics. The Celtics, they didn't just get to the deep postseason runs for nothing. They're still relatively able to win, good at winning close games, just not living up to the standard overall. So give me the Celtics in 5 because they've got too much firepower, like you said.
All right, so you got the Celtics over the Cavs you said in 5, right?
Yes.
All right, so the next matchup, we both have this. It's the rematch of Reggie Miller's infamous game where he made the Knicks choke, or the playoff series where he made the Knicks choke. The Knicks and the Pacers. Pacers run a really fast, high-paced, fast offense. The Knicks are more of that, like they have the shooting, but they're more of that muck-it-up, like defensive-oriented style of play. Steven, I'm going to go with the Knicks because the Pacers sadly don't play any defense. They're a really good offensive team. And the Knicks just seem like the worst matchup for them because they're physical. They're like Ohio State versus Oregon. You remember in the 2014 national title game? Yes, where Oregon was the finesse, like speed, no physicality. And then Ohio State was that physical dominant team. The physical dominant team always wins in that situation. So give me the Knicks. I'm gonna go with the Knicks in. I'm gonna go with Knicks in 5 over Indiana. Halliburton and Siakam are gonna be tough to stop. But I just think DiVincenzo, Brunson, and then Knicks physicality is going to be too much for the Pacers. So give me New York in 5 over Indy. How about you?
Yeah, I think it's going to be very high-pacing game. Halliburton, phenomenal player as well. Very prolific in terms of his passing and his scoring ability. However, I think that in this matchup, right, you got to go with the guy who can consistently come up, not only in the big moments, but through big volume, and that's Brunson. It's just so hard to stop him all day long. So with that being said, I'm going to go with the New York Knicks in 6 games over the Pacers.
So Steven has the Knicks over the Pacers in 6. I got the Knicks over the Pacers in 5, but we both have Boston versus New York in the Eastern Conference Finals. By the way, before we get into our conference finals, as our conference finals are set, we do have a comment from Seth Johnson Ford. He says, "Good evening, guys." So,
evening,
thanks,
Seth.
Yeah, good evening, Seth. Thanks for watching the show and tuning in. Sorry that Kyle Lowry. I mean, he is going to make the playoffs. Actually, he's part of the Sixers now, I think. So. Maybe he's a Sixers fan. I don't know. But, Steven, let's get to the conference finals, shall we? Oh, man. All right. So your conference finals, your Western Conference finals is OKC versus Denver. Are you going with the young guns of OKC? Or are you going to go with the defending champs and the seasoned Denver Nuggets team? Remember this matchup last year, I said if the Thunder met the Nuggets in the first round, that I thought that Denver would get shockingly upset, and you vehemently disagreed. All right, so is the Thunder going to beat the Nuggets now that they're finally matching up according to your conference finals?
Isaiah, as we made these predictions, I kind of realized something. I realized that we haven't picked a single sweep yet. And
don't do it. Do not pick the sweep.
Not only will the Denver Nuggets beat the Thunder, not only will they beat the Thunder, I think that they have a Spurs-like mentality, that they operate cool and calm and collected in big situations. And while I think there's going to be 2 or 3 close games in this season, in this series, 2.5, let's say, I'm going to go with the Denver Nuggets for the first sweep of the playoffs over the Oklahoma City Thunder. Sorry, Isaiah.
So not only are you saying OKC won't do what I said last year, and that is shock the Denver Nuggets, but you're picking Denver to absolutely demolish OKC.
Not demolish. I think that there's going to be 2 games where they pull away, and the rest will be close.
So it'll be like the Lakers won last year.
Yeah, just like the Lakers, yes. And it's going to be a close sweep, but a sweep nonetheless.
All right, so Steven's got Denver going to the NBA Finals, sweeping OKC. For me, I got LA versus Dallas. LA versus Dallas. I'm going to go with the Lakers just because, like, the Mavs, outside of Kyrie and Luka, their supporting cast is not that strong. And you know what? If the Lakers go to the conference finals, Christian Wood is going to be back. Jared Vanderbilt's going to be back. And so they're going to have even more better supporting cast members. Gabe Vincent played in that playing game, he looked very strong. He activated playoff Gabe Vincent, and his defense was so strong. I just think that with LeBron and AD versus Kyrie and Luka, it's going to be a great showdown. Two great offensive teams, but defensively, give me the Lakers over the Mavericks. And I think that's what's going to really propel the Lakers to the win. And who on Dallas, Steven? Who on Dallas is going to stop Anthony Davis? Like, there's really nobody. Like, Dwight Powell.
Yeah, if it's going to be that matchup, I got to go with the Lakers in 6.
Yeah, like the Mavericks have great guard play with Doncic, with Kyrie. Don't forget about Dante Exum, who has really come on strong this year. But I mean, and then PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford, they're all right. But there's no size that will be able to stop Anthony Davis. So I think Anthony Davis could average 40 points a game in that series. So having said that, I'm going to go with the Lakers. I'm going to go Lakers in 6 over Dallas. I think Luka and Kyrie help the Mavericks, but it's going to be a 6-game series. But the Lakers win it because I think it's going to be like the Lakers-Grizzlies series where, okay, the Grizzlies won a couple of games, but you knew throughout that series that the Lakers just seemingly were the overwhelming favorites. So give me the Lakers to win. In the East, Steven, you have Boston and New York. I got Boston and New York as well. Go with your pick. I think I know where you're going with this, but who do you have? Do you have Boston or do you have the New York Knicks?
Oh, got to keep going with the team of destiny here. So give me the Boston Celtics over the Knicks in 6 games. I think Jason Tatum, Jalen Brunson, similar kind of tendencies. Even when they're cold, they're going to continue to kind of go after it. I would say that Brunson has a bit more of the killer mentality, and the Knicks have surrounded themselves with a little bit more shooting now. Not just a little bit, a lot of more shooting. And Hartenstein's playing out of his mind, and he'll give Porzingis problems. But I think in this scenario, Isaiah, you just got to go with the better roster in close situations like this. You got the big city rivalry, the sports rivalry renewed. It's going to be a really, really challenging series for both teams, and it's going to mentally and physically drain them. But I got to pick the team that's kind of been in the situation more, Isaiah, and I got to go with Boston in this scenario.
All right, before I give my picks, we do have a couple of comments that have wrote in. Fun Time Freddy, he says, I'm guessing the Nuggets will win it this year. Okay, so I'm guessing he's picking
Correct.
the Nuggets. And then Fun Time Freddy also says, hi, appreciate you for tuning in.
Appreciate you, Fun Time Freddy. Hope you're having a fun time.
Yes, and I guess he's a Nuggets fan because he said we won it last year. Well, Fun Time Freddy, don't sleep on the Lakers-Nuggets matchup because that's going to be a really good matchup because I'm a Lakers fan, and we played you guys last year, and when we played, you guys swept us, but it was 4 really, really close games that could have gone either way, and it came down to the wire. So that's going to be fun tomorrow. Can't wait for that one. And then Seth has a fun question for us. Seth says, who would win in a best of 7? Isaiah versus Steven one-on-one. I would easily sweep you, Steven. I think that's
Stop it.
Right there.
Oh my
right
God,
there.
look at that, man. He's got no physique. You got
Look at
nothing.
that muscles.
No
Look
meat.
at that muscles.
You would mop the floor with this kid. Y'all know it.
But yeah, but let's go to my Eastern Conference Finals. So, Steven, you picked Boston, right, to beat the Knicks?
That's correct.
All right, so I'm gonna go with the New York Knicks in the upset. I've been saying that since the All-Star break. I think the Knicks beat the Celtics and go to the NBA Finals. Dante DiVincenzo has been balling like a star. Jalen Brunson, like you mentioned, has been playing like Allen Iverson. The thing is, I can count on 3 things in life: death, taxes, and Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown choking. And I hope my guy Ben Kurse doesn't see this right now, but that's the truth. You can count on Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown in clutch moments choking away the game. They choked away the first 2 games in Miami, and it really, really cost them in the end. You can't count on Porzingis being there. You can't count on him being effective. Tom Thibodeau knows how to defend these guys, having coached in Boston. I'm going to go with the Knicks. I think the Knicks muck it up. I think the Knicks win this series in 6, and I think that you'll see the three-point shooting. Boston last year was hurt by the three-point shooting of Miami. They'll be hurt by the three-point shooting of the Knicks. But give me the Knicks in 6 over the Boston Celtics to set up a 1965 or 1971 NBA Finals rematch between the Lakers and the Knicks, and the West Coast versus the East Coast. Steven has the Denver Nuggets versus the Boston Celtics. So before we get into our finals predictions, we do have Funtime Freddy saying that Miami will beat Boston, and because Miami got Tyler Hero. Oh, okay. Steven, you got any reaction to that?
No, I don't agree that Miami is going to beat Boston with Tyler Hero. I think that Tyler Hero, he's an emerging star. A couple years ago, he said he wanted to be put in the same kind of stratosphere as McCollum and, get more respect. Not McCollum, sorry, McCollum. Trae Young, he thought that he should be put in that league of Trae Young, Luka Doncic, and that it was a bit disrespectful the way that people kind of put them on such a high class but didn't include him, Hero, in that discussion. But while he's emerging and everything, I think that his talent and his ability to score, no matter how well he does in that series, it's not going to be enough to beat the well-roundedness of the Celtics and the level of motivation they have this year. So still, I got to go with the Celtics, man, and I got to go with the Celtics in 5. I understand that they got Hero. I understand that, it's a new year and he's continuing to get better. He's working on his game. He's working on his shot. He's been in these big moments now more and more. But Boston is by and far the better team this year, and the gap is bigger than even last year.
Also, Tyler Hero is going to have to play like Michael Jordan if the Heat even have a chance at winning this series. That's how he's going to have to play. And, I mean, I think he could, but that's what's going to have to happen. Tyler Hero has to put Miami on his back and lead them to victory. That's what he's going to have to do. So we'll see what happens, but also, Seth brings up a good point. He says, Isaiah, don't forget about the attitude in Denver being a factor. That's why the Lakers got tired late. Yeah, I mean, that's why the Lakers last year, I feel like, should have flown out to Denver a lot earlier than they did. Remember, they were coming off a grueling 6-game battle against Golden State, and then they had a couple of days off, they had 1 day off, and then boom, they played Denver right away. So they've got 3 days off now. I think they flew in yesterday, so they'll have a couple of days to acclimate. But that's definitely a good point, Seth, that you brought up about Denver. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But for our NBA Finals predictions, the final battle for the Larry O'Brien Trophy. Steven's got the Nuggets and the Celtics. I've got the Lakers and the New York Knicks. And Steven, for my prediction, LeBron James, Austin Reeves, and the Los Angeles Lakers will cap off an improbable run this year with an NBA title. I'm picking the Lakers to beat the Knicks in 7 at MSG. It's going to be a classic. I think Jalen Brunson and DiVincenzo, they'll go off, but the lack of Julius Randle and not having Julius Randle because of injury will be a big factor why the Knicks lose. I think the Lakers pound the Knicks on the inside, and I just don't think the Knicks really have anybody that can stop Anthony Davis or even LeBron James. Like, Brunson can do all he can, but in the end, like Brunson, DiVincenzo, they have to put up a Herculean effort just to stop LeBron James and Anthony Davis. So I'm going to go with the Lakers. I'm going to go with Lakers in 6, actually. I think that Lakers win it at Crypto.com Arena. I think LeBron and AD are just too much. And I think in the end, that Anthony Davis will be my finals MVP. So give me the Lakers and LeBron James winning title number 18 before Boston. I think Austin Reeves is a pretty good series. And I think that watch out for Cam Reddish because the Knicks struggle guarding 3-point shooters. And if he's out there, being that quality sniper off the bench, I think that's going to really help the Lakers. And also Rui Hachimura as well. Like, that guy is really physical. He's got great footwork. He kind of reminds me of a poor man's LeBron, where he can do a lot of damage in the post and do that fade away, that mid-range. So I'm going to go with the Lakers in 6 over the Knicks, and LeBron winning title number 5 to tie Kobe Bryant. And Steven, we probably will disagree on this, but I think if this happens, if LeBron beats Jokic, if he beats Durant, if he beats Luka, and then he beats Jalen Brunson and the New York Knicks to win the title, I think he might have passed Michael Jordan. I'm sorry.
He will. He'll at least tie. I think, even in the public size, he'll at least tie the GOAT.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I think if the Lakers get out of the Nuggets series, they beat the Nuggets, I think that whoever wins that series ultimately wins it all. But wow, if LeBron wins another title, it'll be 5. Then that debate is definitely going to be roaring between LeBron and MJ. Are they the same? Have LeBron passed MJ yet, given the role that he went on? So that's going to be fun. But, Steven, you got Boston versus Denver. Who are you picking in the finals? And what about who wins the finals MVP?
Well, as I said before, man, I think that right now in this situation, the Celtics, they feel like destiny's on their side. But Isaiah, what's been happening to the teams of destiny lately? The teams you feel like the narrative has to favor, Caitlin Clark, Purdue, the Niners, they just come up one short. And unfortunately for these Celtics, they're going to come up one short as well. Just 1 round short, 2 games short. I think Denver matches up well with the Celtics here with their size, with Jamal Murray's quickness. Defensively, they're going to have to do a little bit better about containing Derek White and Jaylen Brown. I think they're going to get some bodies on Tatum with Aaron Gordon and company. But I think in the end, you got to go with the defending champs when they haven't shown any serious leaks or holes. Maybe early in the season they did, but they've settled down very quickly since midseason. They've kind of taken the NBA back by storm. And I think this is a situation where the experience trumps the talent just by a little, because the talent is just that close.
All right, who wins Finals MVP in your opinion if the Nuggets win the title?
I'm gonna go with Jamal Murray. I think Jamal Murray is gonna have a huge impact on the series, and Aaron Gordon and Jokic will be busy doing a lot of the defense, which will leave an opening. All
right. So that's our NBA prediction. Steven's got the Nuggets repeating. So does Funtime Freddy. He says the Denver Nuggets will win the NBA championship. Also, Funtime Freddy, Steven has a question for you. I guess he's asking if you think that the Denver Nuggets will beat the Lakers in the first round.
Yeah, of course. I've been over this. I think the Lakers, they have a lot of talent, and they have star power, and it's good. They have good key pieces there, but I don't think that they can sustain through a 7-game series with LeBron's age and health, with AD's age and health. And the Denver Nuggets are just the better team in key situations right now. They're both experienced playoff teams, but I got to give it to Denver right now. And I think maybe he was asking me what I'm going to do. Well, I don't know. I just say, like, told you so, Isaiah. I told you that they were going to beat LA. But maybe he's directing that to you too, Isaiah. What will you do if you're wrong? And you have to eat crow once again that Denver is the better team than LA.
Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. If the Denver Nuggets beat the Lakers for the second time back-to-back, I will officially bow down to the Nuggets and admit that I'm wrong. Because I have been down. Steven, you know me. I've been the biggest Nuggets doubter ever since their run. I've been calling them flukes. I've been calling them lucky. I've been calling Nikola Jokic a fatty. I've been calling Christian Braun a Frosty the Snowman. That's how much I disrespect those guys. But if they win, all that disrespect, you can count on it will stop. I will officially respect the Denver Nuggets if they actually win it this year. Or if they beat my Lakers, they don't have to win it. They just beat my Lakers. I will officially respect them as not frauds.
All right, you heard it here first. Isaiah will eat crow and admit they are not frauds, and they're legitimately better than the Lakers. Can't wait.
And then I think this is okay. Seth Johnson Ford says, Steven, this is for you, Steven. What do you think about Isaiah calling the Nuggets Lakers the battle for the soul of basketball? I mean, before you go, Steven, on this, here's why I'm saying it's the battle for the soul of basketball. Like, because this is the series I think it's going to determine who runs the NBA. Is it still LeBron's league, or are the Nuggets the real deal? Like, look, they won it last year, but a lot of people, including myself, think they're frauds. So they got to prove it again. If they can beat the Lakers again, okay, I'll give it to them, like I said. But that's why I'm saying that this series is the battle for the soul of basketball, because is it LeBron's league or is it the Nuggets league? So that's the context I wanted to give as to why I'm calling it the battle for the soul of basketball. But Steven, go ahead and answer the question.
Well, at first I thought it was very silly and everything. Like, come on, man. Like, this one series being the battle for the soul of basketball. But I think that there's a little bit of validity to what Isaiah is saying here. And I think I'm starting to understand what he's getting at. Because you have the past, really, the very recent past. We're not talking about like passes in Jordan, Bird, Magic, Allen Iverson, Shaq. But the very recent past, we've had dominance from two exact players and a couple of franchises, right? You've had Steph Curry versus LeBron for what feels like the longest time, even dating back to 2022. And now, those two are out of the picture, right? LeBron recently won in 2020, Steph won in 2022, but now we're a couple years removed from it. And this really feels like, Isaiah and Seth, it feels like the last gasp effort for one of those two guys to remain the top dog in the NBA. And what they say, to be the man, you got to beat the man. And not only did Nikola Jokic beat the man, he swept the man. That was LeBron James. And, on top of that, they've played the Warriors well too, even though they haven't faced off in the playoffs and successfully beaten the Warriors. So it really feels like right now it is Jokic's league. And if it's not Jokic's league, it's Jokic and Giannis, right? So in that sense, it is, yes, Seth. It's like the passing of the torch in a sense. This series could very much be the passing of the torch. And so that's why I can kind of agree with Isaiah a little bit that it could be, in fact, the battle for the soul of basketball.
Exactly. But yeah, last topic that we will get into before we call it a night. Really appreciate the fan support. I mean, Steven, this might be like one of the most watched shows that we've ever had, because we've had so many fans tuning in and our fans are just lighting up the comment section. So we really appreciate you guys. But the last topic that we will get into is there was a report that came out, I think yesterday, that the Lakers would be of high interest in trading for Trae Young. Remember, the Hawks got eliminated in the play-in game, the first play-in game against the Bulls. Trae Young only had 6 points. He did not look good. And there's been a lot of chatter that the Hawks would most likely, if they either miss the playoffs or have an early exit, they'll blow out the Murray and Trae Young combination and trade one of those two. Steven, the question is, do you think the Hawks, number one, do you think the Hawks should blow out and break up the Murray and Trae Young duo? And do you think that LA should trade the farm and 3 first-round picks, Austin Reaves, Rui Hachimura, and more to get Trae Young to be that third star for LeBron James and Anthony Davis?
I don't think so. I don't think you should trade the farm for Trae Young. In fact, I think in Atlanta, there's probably a better player to trade for, and you might not need to give up the farm. DeJounte Murray. DeJounte Murray, he's a bigger body than Trae Young. He plays a little bit more selflessly, and I think he could operate in the Anthony Davis LeBron system better. So not only would I not trade the farm for Trae Young, in fact, I think I prefer to go after a guy like DeJounte Murray and in that kind of system.
But would you trade if you're the Hawks, right? Are you trading? Are you breaking up that duel? Is it time to break up the duel like the Jazz did with Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, or do you want to run it back for one more year?
I think it's 100% the case that you need to break it up. It's a no-brainer. This is like if LA offers you this trade, you're prancing around, stomping like you just like stole something.
I gotta agree with you. I think you gotta blow it up because Trae Young hasn't won anything. Him and DeJounte Murray have not gotten along reportedly. So I just think with the Hawks, like I'm not saying you gotta start over, but you gotta pick one of those two to build around, or maybe you trade both. Who knows? But I just don't think you're gonna win with Trae Young. He doesn't play defense. He's a guy that needs the ball. But I disagree with you, Steven. I think the Lakers should because this is why I've been wanting Devin Booker to be a Laker because Devin Booker would be so perfect next to LeBron and Anthony Davis because the guy that really has success next to LeBron is a guy that is a really good shooter because there's a lot of openings. So LeBron with Devin Booker and Anthony Davis, LeBron and AD would get double. LeBron would just drive to the rim and drive to the paint, and then that would clog everything up. Well, then you have Devin Booker on the outside who's going to get a lot of open looks, and then he can splash a bunch of threes. That's why Klay Thompson would be a great fit because you need that sniper that is a superstar. That's why Westbrook would have never worked. But I just think that Trae Young is perfect because he can shoot. He can shoot from anywhere. And that's what the Lakers need is a guy that can handle the ball, a guy that, can handle the ball and shoot when LeBron James is on the bench, but also a guy that can play off the ball and he can be like that sniper when LeBron and AD are there. And that's what I think that he's going to work perfectly. Like I like Reeves, like that. But I would do it if you can get Trae Young. If you can get Trae Young for 3 first-round picks like Rui Hachimura and Reeves, yeah, sure, I would do it. But that's only if the Lakers don't win it this year, though. If you win the title this year, you better not blow it up. If you don't win the title, though, then yeah, you should definitely do it because LeBron's getting old and he's not going to be any younger next year. And if he has Trae Young and AD, with Trae Young being able to shoot the basketball, LeBron being able to get into the paint and shoot the three, and Anthony Davis being able to do what he does in the paint, I mean, who's going to stop that big three, Steven? Honestly, who's going to stop them?
It's a good point, man. I don't know. Be a tough one.
Yeah,
I think it's just it's not the fit is not right. You know what I mean? Like there's a little bit of similarity to the Westbrook situation where it's like you just wonder the fit. Even though it's not the exact same.
That is true. That is true. But the thing is, like with Westbrook, though, is that he really couldn't shoot, and Trae Young could shoot. But a guy that I think would be better though is if he doesn't come back to the Warriors, Klay Thompson. If Klay Thompson doesn't come back to the Warriors, LA should be on line 1 immediately to go get Klay Thompson because I think he would be. Steven, you saw what Ray Allen did for LeBron, right? Klay Thompson, I think I would say he's better than Ray Allen. Might not be better resume wise, but like Klay Thompson with LeBron James, I mean that would be deadly.
Oh yeah, he's better than Ray Allen.
Oh
even
yeah,
in terms of resume.
Definitely. But yeah, it's been a great show. Appreciate everybody for tuning into the program here tonight. Can't wait for the NBA playoffs to get started. One last question, Steven. I think this was for you from Seth. Is with all the injury issues that LaMelo Ball has had this like in his career, I think he's missed like a total in 3 years. He's missed like a grand total of 150 games or something like that. In 3 years. Should the Hornets trade LaMelo Ball given all of his injury issues this offseason? I think the answer is yes, because I mean I don't think his injuries are going to get better. I mean, sadly, Steven, I think he's like his brother. I think he's going to retire, sadly. And I know, Steven, I've been known to give a lot of hot takes. I said he was going to be the next face of the NBA in 4 years, but that obviously is not going to happen. I sadly think he's going to retire. So if you're the Hornets, you still have to pay him a 4-year max contract starting next year. So you might as well trade him, get something back, because I just don't think he's going to be, sadly, he just can't get over the injury issues.
Yeah, I agree there, Isaiah, for the exact same reasons.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, it's been a great show. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. The NBA playoffs start tomorrow. Steven, do you have any final thoughts before we call it a night?
Great show. Love to jump on more of these, and it's going to be exciting playoffs. I got to start filling out my bracket tomorrow because I think that I'm really onto something here. And thanks for all the viewers for tuning in, and really excited to see all these different kind of fans and what we have to continue offering at MI6.
Yeah, appreciate you for coming on, Steven. We definitely need to do it again. Like, it was fun, just me and you, throw back to the old days of MI6. But yeah, it's been a great show. Yeah, definitely. It's been a great show. Can't wait for the playoffs, like Steven mentioned. We got to fill out the brackets because because the playoffs start tomorrow, and we'll see. Yeah, Fun Time Freddy, you could definitely join in on the podcast. If you want, hit us up, and we'll definitely share you the link for one of our future shows. But it's been a great show. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Enjoy the NBA playoffs, one of the best playoffs in all the sports, guys. Tomorrow it starts with the Cavs and the Magic in about 12 hours from now. So stay safe, stay healthy, and here we go. The battle for the Larry O'Brien Trophy starts tomorrow, and make sure you get your popcorn ready because it's going to be a great playoffs. But Steven, do you have any final words, or should we just close it out for the night?
Let's close it out for the night, Isaiah.
All right, have a good night, everybody, and enjoy
Good night,
the
everyone.
NBA. It's going to be great. But I said, if you gave me Mahomes, if you gave me Lamar Jackson with his great legs and Mahomes' great arm, or you gave me Baker Mayfield, who would I want? I would want Baker Mayfield, and the reason why is because Baker Mayfield.
I really think that now this is the worst case scenario for the San Francisco 49ers, is that they're going to have to cut ties with Jimmy Garoppolo if I were them. What? Oh my God! Whoa, man!
In any event, Kyle Gibson is definitely my NL Cy Young Award winner. Rock on, Giddy.
And even
Oh
if
my!
you-
Oh! No